Hey guys, yeah, I'm doing this uncut and unscripted, but I wanted to come on here and basically talk about what happened yesterday. Now, originally I had done a video on this after it happened, but then again, I should say, it happened again, basically. Yeah, what I'm saying. Basically it happened again yesterday. And what that was, if you saw my live stream, it was a power outage. Yeah, we had a power outage yesterday, and as you can see, just by what I'm walking around, you can kind of see exactly the kind of wind that we got. Yeah, very strong and at times very damaging. Well, the reason I bring this up basically is due to the fact that yesterday around 1:30 p.m. or between 1:30 p.m. and 1:30 and 1:35 p.m. I should say, the power went out. And basically it was off for at least 8 hours and 10 minutes. Yeah, 8 hours and 10 minutes the power was off. And it wasn't good. Now, Newman, where I live, wasn't the only town affected. I mean, the whole town was off. But Newman wasn't the only town affected. Los Banos was affected. Gustine, which is before Los Banos and right after us, was affected. Crow's Landing was affected. Parts of Turlock were affected. And I'm pretty sure parts of Patterson, where I'm at now, were affected. And why? Well, a lot of people come out with numerous reasonings. Now, a lot of people were not too thrilled about this. They weren't too thrilled, but for a while, for a couple of hours, they were willing to accept it. Because originally, the ETA time that PG&E had given people was around 4:30. 3:30, then 4:30. And after those two time periods passed, we got a new estimation of 6 o'clock. And then after that passed, we got a new estimation of 3:30 today. And not a lot of people were happy about that. So after 8 hours and 10 minutes, power was finally restored. But then, basically 15 minutes after my mom gets home, 20 minutes after she gets home, around 10 something or 11, almost 11 something, the power goes out again and it remains out for another hour and a half. Yeah, it remains out for another almost hour and a half. So approximately that makes it 10 and a half hours, or 10 hours almost I should say, without power. You get a little distortion for about maybe an hour or so, I would say 75 minutes, and then it gets taken out again. And there were various reasonings as to why this happened. Some were saying that they heard of a down power line. Some were skeptical about, what the reason could be. They were skeptical, like, is it a down power line? Is it just the wind? Did power cables, on the power lines touch each other? Did power lines on the power connected by the power poles touch each other? What happened? Well, PG&E didn't really give a straight answer. PG&E decided instead that they were just going to tell people what ETA estimation times of restoration they were going to have before power came back on. And they kept saying that they have people investigating and assessing the situation, and they was going to send people out to assess the area. Well, long story short, somebody came out on the Facebook page, the Neighborhood Watch Facebook page for Newman, and basically stated that the that PG&E, basically PG&E had let them know that between 7:15 and 7:30 last night, that a crew was being sent out, I should say, to the affected area, or the area that had caused the outage. So basically, when one thinks about it, almost 6 hours, 5.5 to 6 hours later, they're sending people out. And the person that reported this basically said that it seemed, by getting this information, it sounds like PG&E hadn't been working on the situation, hadn't really been working on the situation the whole day up until that period. Like I said, they basically reported that PG&E had not been working on the situation that whole time, and now they were just sending people out. And this really got a lot of people upset, to the point that some people even said that they felt that all PG&E had been doing was blowing steam up the you-know-what, because they weren't giving us a straight answer. So after power was restored, almost 8 hours later, everybody was wondering what caused the power outage. You know, what caused us to lose power for that long? Some were saying it was a down power. Some said they heard it was a down power line on Highway 33 going between Gustine and Patterson. Others were still skeptical. Like, they felt something just wasn't adding up. Something just was too suspicious when it came to PG&E. Like, PG&E was not telling the whole thing, the whole truth. So, basically, after power gets restored, my mom comes home, I would say an hour later. About an hour later, my mom comes home. Now, while she was here in Patterson, she had gone to Walgreens, which was across over there, and bought some lights. Now, she bought the lights because she wasn't sure if she was going to come home to a dark home, or she was going to come home to a lit up home, but still have the risk of another power outage. Well, it's a good thing, I should say, that she did buy the lights, because basically 20 minutes after she came home, or 15 to 20 minutes after she came home, the power goes out again. Basically what happened is, she's watering her plants because her plants got blown down, and I had to, throughout the day, pick them back up, place some rocks behind them so they wouldn't fall. So she was outside watering her plants, and she came back in because it was cold and windy, but she felt that if she watered them, they wouldn't fall. So, long story short, after she tells my sister she's home safe, text her, let her know, hey, I'm back safe, I'm okay, that's when the power goes out again. So, my mom stops her watering. She goes out, takes a light with her, stops her watering, comes back inside. My sister calls, says that she heard about another power outage, because my sister, although she lives here in Patterson, is on the Newman neighborhood watch. She hears about it. And basically we tell her, yeah, it happened again, but we'll let her know when it comes back on. And so my mom then has to go, clean herself up before she goes to bed, like a lot of us do. And a little after she cleans herself up, that's when the power comes back on. The power basically went off around or a little after 11. I'm thinking that's when it did. I gotta look again. And it came back on between 12:45 and 1 in the morning. And it stayed on. And both times for me, I was on my computer when it went pew. Thankfully, though, my computer wasn't damaged, and all it was just basically my computer going through one of those annual monthly updates that happen the second week of every month. So, no real damage to it, thank God, because it was just starting up, like I said, the way it would after it would go through its monthly updates that happen every second of the month. So so basically everybody was upset the first time that the power went out, and then they were happy it came back on, and then they got upset again. And there were reports from one person, and I even passed this along, that from what they heard, it was an equipment situation in Wesley, because Wesley was also affected. Wesley, which is over there, was also affected by it. So I said it was an equipment thing. But throughout all that, the one question everybody had was what happened? What occurred? Well, like I said, a lot of people suspected a power line. They heard a power line had gone down on Highway 33 between Gustine and Patterson. But some people were still suspicious. Some felt that something, like I said, was off. Something wasn't right. Something wasn't adding up. Well, my mom, when she came back, said she had noticed a bunch of police cars surrounding this big equipment truck hauling this big electrical pole, what looked like, I guess, an electrical pole on top of it, on the highway, on the highway from wherever they were taking it. And she was only guessing that maybe that was one of the roots of the problem, if not the root of the problem, that maybe that pole was blown down thanks to the wind, and that could have caused the outage. And that might be true. But then again, this morning when I got on the bus about, I would say, almost, 80 minutes ago, my bus driver mentions to everybody that's also talking about it there, that she had gotten a call, well, not a call, but a text from PG&E saying, expect a blackout. Yeah. Because, PG&E has this new thing where they're supposed to let people know of when they're going to shut off power or do a blackout for safety reasons, right? Well, apparently, she got a text from PG&E saying, expect it to happen. Really? Where was that text information when we needed it? Why didn't they say anything to us? They didn't. And that's why a lot of people are suspicious, because they're thinking probably along the same lines of, did they do, because they're thinking and wondering, along the same lines, did they do a safety shut-off without telling us? Because if they did, that's on them. They're supposed to tell us when they're doing it so we'll be prepared. But they didn't. They didn't tell us. And that's what's pissing people off. They don't know what the real truth is here. But if word gets out from not just my bus driver, but others, that they got that same information, that same text from PG&E of expect this to happen, people are going to be pissed. They're already pissed at PG&E for not coming out and telling them the real truth about what was happening. But if they find out that could be one of the reasons, then they're really going to be pissed. They're really going to be ticked off. And they're going to really want maybe something to happen, something to be done. Heck, I even told my mom yesterday that I would not be surprised, because I was even thinking about this throughout the day, because I kept myself busy as best I could. I have my LTE wireless network, so I was able to at least have some internet. That's how I was able to keep tabs. But I kept thinking about this to myself. I kept saying to myself, or wondering to myself, you know what? I'm not going to be surprised. And this is the absolute truth. I said, I would not be surprised if a lot of these people in Newman, in the town of Newman, which was affected, the whole town of Los Banos, the whole town of Gustine, the whole town of Crow's Landing, parts of Turlock, and maybe parts of Patterson, and the whole town of Wesley, I would not be surprised if any of them don't come out and say, you know what, enough of this crap. We have our own energy people locally, known as the Modesto district and the Turlock district. We'd rather have them over PG&E, so we don't have to go through with this. I've got a feeling sooner or later that's going to happen if PG&E doesn't get their act together. Now look, I know a lot of people have gone through days without power because of PG&E and the safety shut off or the unexpected blackouts, and I get that. I understand that. But here's the thing. If what my bus driver said is true, If they did do a blackout safety shut off without telling people or alert people of a blackout happening, then you should have let people know off the bat. You want people to give you their cell numbers to text them with information and updates. You should update them that, hey, you might get a blackout happening here. You might get a safety shut off. But nobody got that. And that's painting PG&E in a bad light, in a worse, and you add this to the already controversial situations they find themselves in. So PG&E really needs to get their act together. And like I said, again, I understand people have been in worse situations. I understand that. But, sometimes those will be beyond your control. And I'm not saying this wasn't beyond PG&E's control, but if what my bus driver said is true, then there's something up. It's like this, just something up. And then on top of that, you got various ETAs being given to the customers as when power is going to come up or happen. And you have these various ETAs change almost 5 to 15 minutes after the original ETA time given. If you're going to change it, you need to change it before. And then the decision to finally send a crew out, almost 5.5, 6 hours later, when it's getting dark, does not make any sense. It does not make you look good. So, honestly, I look at it this way. Folks. Again, I understand people have been in worse situations when they've lost power. I understand that. But here's the thing. When it comes to restoration there, you're always guaranteed a time frame. Like you know exactly how long it's going to take for your power to get restored. Here's the thing. When like I said, you get an estimation of when your power is going to get restored. Your company never changes it unless they feel that they need more time. If the situation's as easy as a down power line, if the situation is a blackout safety shutoff, or even whatever, then it shouldn't take that long to restore power. You should be able to give a true estimation of, okay, well, this is when it's going to come on, this is the crew we're sending out, People shouldn't have to be playing a guessing game. People shouldn't be, because that's wrong. That is wrong, and PG&E and any company that does that makes themselves look worse than what they already are. But yeah, yesterday was quite the adventure. Hopefully we don't go through that again. Hopefully companies like PG&E learn the lesson. Because if they don't want to lose, business to another electric company, down the line, then they need to shape up or ship out. That's the honest truth. So, but yeah, it was quite the adventure, guys, yesterday, but hopefully it doesn't happen again. And yes, my computer is fine, like I said. It's just one of those situations where it's like it goes through its annual monthly update that happens every second week of the month. It's fine, it's good. It's workable, thank God. But, hopefully none of this happens again. And even my PlayStation 4, my PS4, it's working fine. So hopefully, again, like I said, nothing like this happens. Like I said, I kept myself entertained with my 4G LTE wireless network, allowing me to watch Disney Plus and Netflix and YouTube. I was able to play my Switch, Mario Kart Deluxe, even without internet. So, at least I had, that to keep me entertained. But yeah, it's just one of those situations where let's just hope this never happens again. But That's all I'm going to say, guys. Let me know what you all think down below. Let me know if you've been in these situations before where your power company has kind of played a guessing game with you on its ETA estimation times or not. And that's all I'm going to say. So, till next time, guys, God bless. Take care. I got to get ready to go into work. And I'm out.